my channel. I am back with another video and just trying to be consistent, okay? It's been rough. I know we're in May and I have plans to be consistent this year, but life has just been happening. But we're getting back on this thing because I have been getting a lot of traffic lately on my YouTube channel. So I'm like, let me take advantage of the traffic that I've been getting, the views, the comments, like the community that I'm building here. And let me just get back on YouTube and get a rhythm going. So this video, I am going to talk about real estate. As you know, I am a real estate agent or realtor.
What are you, some kind of real estate agent? Oh, he's a realtor. There is a difference somehow.
Here in Huntsville, Alabama, I'm coming up on my 1-year mark in real estate, and I literally cannot believe it. Like last year at this time, I was preparing for my exam, my real estate exam, and if you know, you know. Y'all remember I took time off of social media. I was studying, like your girl was studying, like I was back in college. It was intense, but I am so proud of myself. Like looking back a year ago at this time, I was like studying. I would wake up, I think I would do like take a walk or something outside with my dogs, and then literally spend my entire day studying. So to remember that a year ago and to see where I am now, I'm just so thankful. And I'm probably gonna do a video where I talk about my first year in real estate, but this video is not that. This video is going to be tips and advice for first-time homebuyers. So if you follow me on IG or TikTok, then you know that I share real estate related content on there, in addition to things in Huntsville, like my life in Huntsville, home care tips. I'm really like in the process of doing different updates and upgrades around my house, so I share that on there. I also have a newsletter which has been popping lately. Like people have actually been reading my newsletter. Okay, so it's not just, you know, Huntsville real estate. Like I do provide a little bit of that in there, but I also provide tips, helpful tips that, you know, whether you're a home buyer or looking to become a home buyer, like I really share good stuff in my newsletter, if I say so myself. So if you are not subscribed to that, I'm dropping a link in the description. So subscribe to my newsletter, because it's not just real estate, but it's some other good stuff in there too that I think you would like. So if you are thinking about buying, looking to buy whether this year or in the near future, I feel like these are some tips that will be very helpful for you. I remember when my husband and I bought our first home, we didn't have a realtor that we can go to and get this type of advice. We were just kind of, you know, taking on or relying on the information from our parents, our family members who had purchased homes previously. So we had never established a relationship with a realtor ourselves and gotten to know the ins and outs of the home buying process and what the pre-approval and all that looks like. So we're kind of just winging it, really. And one of the reasons, I guess that's one of the reasons why I got into real estate, because I remember what that process was like for Joe and I, and the things that we wish we knew at that time, and the things that we even now, like, we're learning. And I feel like that is helpful to first-time home buyers, especially my fellow millennials, okay? I have a special place in my heart for my fellow millennials, especially Black millennials, because we are, I feel like the average age range right now of people buying homes is millennial age. So that's another one of the reasons why I got into real estate, is to help millennials, especially, you know, all people, but especially millennials looking to purchase their home, their first home, and just remembering the things that I went through and being able to educate and talk with you about this process and talk through the process with you, so that you are well informed, you feel competent and confident going through the process. So we're gonna get some tips going, okay? So I have my little notes here that I wanted to share, make sure I got everything so that you can be well knowledgeable when it's time to buy your first home. Whether you're in Huntsville or not, I feel like all of these tips are helpful for you. So we're gonna get into the first one. The first tip is to find a realtor. Yes, Find a realtor. You do not want to go through the process of purchasing a home without a trusted, competent realtor. Okay? Let me say that again. You do not want to go through the process of purchasing a home without a competent realtor. Period. Period. My husband and I purchased our first home, which was a new build, and we did not have a realtor. Yes, you heard that right. We did not have a realtor. We were unrepresented, which I feel is a no-no, which is a huge, huge mistake. We went the new construction route, and I think the misconception with that is that you don't need a realtor because you stumble upon this new construction development. They have a realtor sitting there who's going to walk through the process with you and give you all the details and take your earnest money, and you sign the contract with them and you're good. You don't need one. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What most people do not know is that the sales representative or the sales associate, the realtor on duty with the builder represents that builder. They do not represent you. And we did not know that. We do not know that going into the new construction process. We just thought, hey, this is somebody here who's going to help us. We didn't think we needed a realtor, so we went through the process unrepresented, which it was a pretty smooth process, but I do remember parts in the transaction where I feel like having a realtor would have been more beneficial to us. So your first step in the home buying process is to find a realtor. Even, if you're looking for a pre-existing home or currently existing home, or you're looking into new construction, find a realtor because they're going to represent you. They're going to be the ones that have your back throughout the whole transaction. They know the ins and outs. They know the language. They know contracts. They're going to have your back. And there's so many things that we as regular people do not know, things that we don't know to look for, that a realtor is trained to look for and to do. So you do not want to go into the home buying process unrepresented. That's a big no-no. So the first step is to find a competent, and I say competent, a competent realtor. The next step in the process, number 2, is to get pre-approved. Okay? That's a huge thing. I actually have a reel that has gone viral and is still going viral on my Instagram. That's really about the getting pre-approved before you go house shopping. So getting pre-approved is such a vital, probably the most important after finding a realtor, step in this process, because you have to know how much house you can afford. To put it plain and simple, you have to know how much house you can afford, what your budget is looking like, and what better person to tell you that than a mortgage lender. When you get pre-approved, the lender will go through basically your income, your debt to income ratio, and they will let you know how much house you can afford. They will see what your finances are looking like and basically give you a pre-approval letter, which will state how much house you can afford. So let's say you get pre-approved for $350,000. Well, you'll get a letter that says, you've been pre-approved for $350,000. And that's the golden ticket to starting your home buying process. So we want that pre-approval. And I say get the realtor first because a lot of times realtors have lenders who they know and trust and can recommend for you. I remember when we started, we didn't know anything about the lending process. We didn't know any lender to go to. We were like, do we just go to our regular bank? Like, do we shop around? Like, we didn't know what to do. So if you get with a realtor first, then they can let you know or kind of guide you in the right direction to lenders that they are familiar with, have worked with, and you can kind of shop around in that way. So getting that pre-approval is the next most important step in the process. Number 3, and I actually just created some content about this on IG, but determine your wants and needs. This is so important because it can help you narrow down your must-haves. So the worst thing you can do after you get that pre-approval is just jump right into the home search because you're so excited. you're just kind of looking at anything and everything within that budget, and you really don't have an idea of what's most important for you and for your family. So narrowing down those wants and needs is what's so important, and your realtor can help you do this. Your realtor can help you determine if it's important for you to have hardwood floors, or if it's important for you to have 4 bedrooms instead of 3, or if you prioritize a huge or nice size backyard, or if you want granite countertops. Like, these are some things that you will discuss with your realtor, and they can help you kind of narrow down your priorities, your must-haves, and then things that you can kind of compromise on. And this will help really guide your search, so that you're not just searching at like 50 different homes, but you have an idea, like a more of a narrow search, and that just makes the home search process a little bit easier when you have those wants and those needs narrowed down, like your priorities, your must-haves, square footage, number of bedrooms, hardwood floors, things that you really don't want to compromise on. So it's important to know that and narrow that down before you hit the streets, okay? So the next tip or thing to keep in mind is to remember that first home is not going to be perfect. While it can be your dream home or your dream home for the time being, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to have every single thing that you have on your wish list or every single thing that you want. It may desire a home that has 5 bedrooms, but your budget may only allow for a home that's 3 bedrooms. So keep in mind that your first home is not going to be your forever home. Your first home is not going to be perfect. And that was one of the things that I had to remember. Nobody told me this, but I had to keep that in mind, that I'm working within a budget. I got to stick within my budget, but also I have to prioritize what's most important for our family, and note that the house is not going to have everything in it that I want, but it'll be perfect for us. You know what I mean? At the stage that we were in. So with our first home, I had to keep in mind that it may not have every single thing in it that I wanted, but as long as I prioritized our must-haves, the things that we absolutely needed, like the home was something that we can grow into and essentially make it our own for the time period that we plan to stay in the house. So just keep in mind and remember that your first home is not going to be your forever home, and it may not be your perfect home, or it may not have every single thing in it that you want, but making sure that not only is it within your budget, but it's prioritizing your needs or your must-haves. And I feel like that's what makes it perfect for you, if that makes sense. So that's number 4. Another tip that I want you, or a reminder, a thing that I want you to keep in mind, is that you have more than just your down payment. So I know a lot of times we think, or at least for me, going into the process, I thought all we had to do or worry about was the down payment. So going into the home buying process, there are some additional fees that you have to keep in mind. So not just the down payment, but the initial earnest money. So when you put in an offer on a home, you go under contract, you typically want to put down some earnest money. So this is just a measure of good faith to show the seller that you're a serious buyer. So you put down the earnest money, which is usually about 1% of the purchase price. So you put down that earnest money. That's one fee, or that's one cost that you have to keep in mind. And then in addition to that, right before you get to, so after you go under contract, then there are some inspections that you want to get done. So those inspections cost money. So they can cost anywhere from $350 to $450. It just depends on, the inspector that you get, the square footage of the house, that sort of thing. So that's another fee to keep in mind. And then you have, of course, your down payment and any closing costs. So any costs associated with the loan, like the appraisal, those are things that you want to keep in mind. So we did not know that going into it. So when we got close to closing and we got our closing disclosure, and this was with our first house, I was like, what are all these extra fees? Like, we only accounted for the down payment. We didn't know anything about these extra fees. And then that's why having a realtor would have come in handy, because they would have explained that to me ahead of time. But that's something that you have to keep in mind, that it's not just the down payment that you need to save or put money aside for. It's the earnest money and any type of fees associated with closing costs, as well as that inspection. Those are things that you have to keep in mind. And, as you're preparing for purchasing a home, when you're saving your money, those are some things to take into account. And this is like a little bonus tip. Then this is just from, again, like my personal experience with home buying. And that's thinking about like your long-term goals with your real estate or your home, this property that you're investing in. Even if it's your, it's your first home. So typically people stay in that first home anywhere from 3 to 5 years before they decide to move into another home, whether that's getting, upgrading and getting a bigger home because their, family is expanding or whatever the case. But thinking about your long-term goals, even if you're only going to be in that home for a short period of time. So when I say that, the thing that I think of is if this home, we're planning on being in the home for a few years, think about some things that you can do in the home to add value. So that's making like little upgrades around your house, any type of light fixtures, anything that you're going to do to that house, think of it long term. You know what I mean? And that your home is your long-term investment. So whether you're going to sell your house after the fact or hold on to it and turn it into an investment property, think of that, or start thinking about that and what your long-term goal is for that house, even if you don't plan to be in it long-term, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense because it makes sense in my head. And the reason I say that is because with our first home, we didn't plan to be in it that long, maybe 3 to 5 years, which we were. And initially, one of the goals we wanted to do was to have investment properties and to, essentially turn that home into an investment home. But we ended up selling that home. We made a decision to sell the home. And looking back, I wish that we had, had a realtor to talk about what our long-term goals were, like what we wanted to do. And that would have helped guide our decision. So even when you're talking with your realtor, you can even ask them, or your lender, you can ask them in terms of things that you can do to your home to increase the value over time, and what that would look like if you decided to, turn your home into an investment property. So think about your long-term goals, even if you are planning only to stay in that home for a short period of time. And that's really it. So those are just a few of my tips that have come to mind, and the things that I like to talk to my first-time home buyers about. And I can do like a part 2 where I go a little bit more in depth. But I just wanted to just get these quick tips out here, especially if you are in the market to buy or you're starting to prepare to buy sometime in the near future. I just wanted to put together some tips that I feel would have been helpful for me, but I have found them to be helpful for my first-time home buyers. So if you have any questions or anything that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments, because I will continue to do these real estate related videos. I just love this long form content here on YouTube, and I want to get back into doing that. So yeah, that's it. So if you have any questions or anything, again, like I said, drop them in the comments. Please like, subscribe, share, all the things. And that's really it. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.